We've got Bailey in Minooka, Illinois. Thanks for waiting.
Hello, am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, hi, Bailey.
Sweet. So, kind of what I wanted to talk about is that for the past couple of years I've been going to college. I'm almost 20 right now, and I was going there for music education, and after a while I just felt that it wasn't my thing. I wasn't really liking the classes. I wasn't really liking doing the work, all that stuff. And so I ended up spending a lot of time listening to you guys, particularly you, Matt, people like Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, the other Horsemen, Steve Pinker, Douglas Murray, and I've kind of figured that the biggest kind of thing I want to do with my life at some point is something along the lines of activism, maybe as an atheist activist, or I'm also heavily interested in politics and science and education, all those things. I was kind of wondering, how did you guys get started, I guess?
Well, the ACA was started with an ad in the newspaper, basically calling for like-minded people to get together, and then the show came up out of that. I got started because I found my way out of my religious beliefs and realized that perhaps some things that I'd learned might be useful to other people. If you're talking about activism, there's no shortage of opportunities, especially today in the United States, especially if you're also interested in political activism. There are, depending on what your political views are, there's no shortage of organizations that you can potentially, work with. And I would start by reaching out in your area to, if you're wanting to focus primarily on secular stuff, then you can reach out to atheist organizations, secular organizations, Center for Inquiry, other things in your area. You can find the state director for American Atheists. You can talk to Atheist Alliance of America, et cetera. One of the things is you can also run for office. And while there is certainly some significance on, the president and the Senate and other things, a lot of what really happens and really takes place that is important happens on local school boards. I just heard that the Texas State Board of Education has once again reverted their language on evolution in the science standards, because we were all so busy and distracted with bans on immigration and countless other things going on that I guess the State Board of Education just snuck this right back in. So they've walked us backwards to when they were walking us backwards until we were really backward. Those are all possibilities. I don't know. What else, Doug?
I think it's good that you're interested in activism, because I think that's a lot of people are interested in wanting to make a difference and either don't have time or it takes a lot of time to be an activist. And I think Matt gave good advice. You kind of get involved with somebody who's already doing it, and there's a lot of organizations from Freedom from Religion Foundation, ACLU, and various political groups. And I think that's kind of how you get started, is you just kind of show up to a couple of meetings, volunteer to do stuff. The more time you have, the better, because every group, including the ACA, has lots of great ideas and not a lot of people willing to, to hit the ground and take the steps that's necessary. So groups like us love people like you who want to do something and want to get involved. So I think that's probably the first step.
Cool. I guess kind of the next question would be, what process would you recommend to kind of figure out which group would be the right one to go for?
What issue do you feel most passionately about? One of the things that I'll caution you against is trying to do too much, because fewer things are going to frustrate you more than, let me try and solve 20 problems, and so I'm going to work with 20 different organizations, and you're going to find problems in every single organization. I have yet to find any organization where there weren't personality conflicts and too much bureaucracy here or not enough oversight there. Start small. Pick one thing that you think that you can contribute to, and it doesn't have to be world changing. I mentioned at the top of the show, Beth is making hats for the homeless. I think she's already done she wants to make 500 in 2017. I know she made like 60 before she got to say, okay, I'm gonna start over with 1 and go to 500. Those things are like my first piece of advice, because you get to directly and immediately help another human being. And there's no shortage of human beings in need. There is the frustration that, when we look around Austin has a massive homeless population. It's appalling that we don't talk about it every single week on every show everywhere. I mean, there's a massive homeless shelter downtown, a block or so from the main police station, that is always full and always has people hanging out outside. And then at virtually any street corner in Austin, radiating out from that, there are people out with signs asking for help. And there's countless organizations on Sundays in the parking lots underneath the freeway. There are any number of churches, the Atheist Helping the Homeless group, the Humanists at Work group, doing all kinds of things. They're not only feeding, yes, they are occasionally doing church services, and I will complain about that, even though I'll also acknowledge that they're doing good. But there was a Christian biker group that comes out and gives pedicures to the homeless, because evidently taking care of your feet is second only to taking care of your teeth when you're homeless. There are people giving away clothes, books, something like that is really easy to get started if it doesn't already exist. Even if you don't have the money to supply things yourself, you can put an ad in the paper, you can go on a website, you can go to local churches and say, look, I know I'm not a member of your church, but if your church doesn't already have some sort of mission effort to help out, I'm starting one, and I'm going to collect canned goods, and I'm going to collect it, talk to grocery stores and convenience stores and say, hey, can I just set a box here? And when people come in and they buy their, 10 cans of lima beans, can they just throw one in this box and I'll pick it up, and we got something. Yeah, I wouldn't start by running for president or even state board of education, but those things can build up. And what you'll find is that it's very rewarding, because I used this anecdote before. When I was a kid, I had to mow the grass every Saturday, and we had 3.5, 4 acres. We had to push mow the acre closest to the house. I hated it. Saturdays were, wait a minute, this is my day off from school. This is supposed to be fun. And I despised it, and I rented apartments and I never wanted to do anything having to do with the lawn again. And now I own a home, and I love going out to mow the grass and take care of the yard. And it's not because I'm a homeowner and I have a different view of it right now. What I've discovered is that I have 150 things on my to-do list, and the vast majority of them are never going to get done. But I can go out and in 30, 40 minutes have the yard looking nice. I feel a sense of accomplishment, and it's an accomplishment that all my neighbors get to see too. So it's like, hey, Matt actually got off his ass and did something. Just getting one thing that you can get done is enough to motivate you to stick with the 100 other things that you might not get done.
All right, that was
construction in the background.
Yeah, kind of remodeling the house, but yeah. Anyway, that was extremely helpful, and I guess I just have one other question that's kind of more philosophical, but
sure.
I know there's the topic of free will that's heavily disputed among atheists and skeptics, and from what I've heard, there's kind of what you can consider the Sam Harris point of view versus the Dan Dennett point of view, and I was kind of wondering which side you came on that. And
that's easy. That's incredibly easy. All three of us are actually on the same side. It's just that Sam doesn't know it. Dennett has pointed this out, that basically Sam is arguing. I'm down with what the science shows. Sam has a criticism of the compatibilist point of view on free will, which I'm not going to get into detail. You can go look it up. You can read Dennett's books, Elbow Room, The Varieties of Free Will Worth Wanting, and other things like that. I'm largely compatibilist. And when somebody says, oh, do you believe in free will? First, we have to define it. because libertarian free will I don't accept. The very notion that I could do something other than what I'm doing. Sam's objection to compatibilism in his book is basically, I don't understand it. It seems like they're just divining free will into existence. And the answer to that is, yes, that's correct. You don't completely understand it, but in fact, they are defining free will into existence because they're saying there is something that we value and want to label as free will. It's not libertarian free will. It doesn't mean that you can violate the laws of nature. And my simple explanation for why I accept that this is the case is this. John could get up on his own and walk out of here. And it doesn't matter if it was predetermined by the universe. Don't do it.
Oh.
See? I just violated his free will by making it. Doesn't matter if it's predetermined by the universe. It doesn't matter if this causal chain led to him getting up and walking out of his own volition. It's just that this is the scenario. John, this thinking agent, this meat sack of intelligence, for whatever reason, got up on his own and walked out. I could grab John and drag him out of the room. The difference between those two situations is it represents everything that I think we care about when we talk about free will. And the fact that there's a difference between the two of those means we need to label that difference as something, and I'm fine with labeling that free will.
So I guess kind of the summary of what you're saying is that the Sam Harris position on free will is that the term free will must refer to a full-on, literal libertarian free will where you can just literally do anything no matter what. And your argument is that the term free will should mean something else, something more practical to human life.
Yeah, there's yes. I'll just say yes, even though that's not completely accurate because it's a way big topic for the last 6 minutes of the show. But,
Fair enough.
cool. Thanks, Bailey. I appreciate it.
No problem.